Good evening, everyone. It is your Tuesday night Dynasty Heat Seekers stream with me, your host, Bryce Frazier. You can find me on Facebook on the Roto Heat Dynasty Facebook pages. Definitely give them a follow. The community's on there great. I'm very active on Facebook. And I am joined with always the reliable Anthony Leone. Leone, how are you doing today? And where can the people find you?
Well, I'm also in the Facebook group. I am also in our Discord, and I've been helping people with their rookie drafts. They've been DMing me, asking me, hey, who should I take here? What should I do here? How could I trade this person doing that? So if anyone has any questions or wants to shoot something by me, I'm more than happy to give you my opinion and help you guys out, dominate your league.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're kind of in that it's exciting for some people, not exciting for others, right? Some dynasty leagues are doing their drafts and things like that. So that's always fun to do. In other formats, they typically wait till later in the season. So we're kind of in that lull, right? Sorry. The draft just happened. There's not really many exciting players left, in free agency, just a couple, and we're gonna touch on one in a second. So we're just kind of waiting for that season to go. So we're filling it up with things maybe we should be doing in our leagues, and we'll go over some breakout candidates later. But before that, we'll touch on the kind of one little bit of news that happened. So Jarvis Landry did sign with the New Orleans Saints. Leone, what are your thoughts on how does that affect his value? Obviously, the quarterback, which I'm assuming is going to be Jameis Winston week 1, and then the Michael Thomas coming back from his hiatus now, and newly drafted Chris Olave. What do you see the impact on Jarvis Landry to the Saints?
Yeah, I think it's great for Landry specifically. I think he's in a good spot. I think he can build a nice relationship with Winston and be very productive. I do think it hurts Michael Thomas to a certain degree. Landry is a PPR machine. I mean, he's going to see targets. He's going to catch the ball. And that is going to hit MT's volume a little bit. I think who gets destroyed by this news is Chris Olave. A lot of people think that, he was going to have a nice rookie season. He could slide in as the number 2 wide receiver on the team. Maybe Michael Thomas is a little slow to get up to full speed early in the season. There was a lot of opportunity there for possibly Olave to come in and take over. And now that's just, completely out the window. The only one who's really going to benefit is Landry. So if you have Landry, I think it's a good spot. I think if you're contending and you want to try to get like a wide receiver 2 or 3 that you think could push you over the edge, I think Landry is a good value and a good target for people to try to get on their teams.
Yeah, sorry, my audio was skipping out there. I agree that it probably hurts Olave, especially for like this upcoming season. If you drafted him thinking he was going to have an instant impact, this definitely hurts. But I don't hate it for him, right? I mean, it kind of reminds me of the situation when CeeDee Lamb was drafted, where people thought, well, now he goes in there as the number 3. He probably won't have much of an impact, but he did, right? I mean, he stepped immediately in front of Michael Gallup and showed that he can be a solid flex option his rookie year. So it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm definitely not banking on it right now. I think it helps Jameis Winston more than anyone, right? Because we know what it looks like when he's loaded with talent. Sure. When he had Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, he can sustain a lot of fantasy value for multiple wide receivers. So I really like it for him. And it's funny that you said like it's a good fit, because like my buddy asked me, do you think Landry to the Saints is a good fit? And it's like, Landry is a good fit anywhere, right? I mean, you can put that guy on any team and he's going to make them better, and he's going to have an impact because he is a PPR machine. He is getting older. I mean, we don't know if, he's not going to put up numbers that he used to, but I think he's still very, very relevant. He's going to be a guy that I feel very comfortable putting in as a flex option, somebody you could probably get for a second rounder. And if you're a guy that is on the, better half of your league, that maybe he could, give you a slight edge, I think he's a guy that you could easily buy for pretty cheap. So
yeah, I agree.
I like the landing spot for him and Jameis. I'm not sure about Michael Thomas. I don't know if he even wants to be there. And Chris Olave, it might take some stress off of him, but it takes away his immediate impact. I definitely agree on that. So we'll go ahead and jump right into, potential breakout players for this upcoming season. And we talked about this a little bit before the stream, Leonie. Go ahead and share some thoughts you had on how difficult it was for us to find, think of players for a breakout season.
Yeah, in years past, I think it was a lot easier to, target players who maybe had a down year and were in a decent spot. I mean, some guys that kind of come to mind are like Jerry Judy, for example. I mean, and I know you're going to talk about him later, but it's like there are just some other guys too. Like I was trying to think of Paris Campbell was in a good spot a couple years ago after his rookie season, and yeah, ultimately it didn't pan out, but you at least had your hopes up, like, hey, this could really work out. And I'm there's countless of number of examples where guys have just kind of come out of nowhere, and you kind of expected it, but it seems like this year, maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like, hey, we know who the studs are, and we know who we have reasonable expectations for almost everyone in the league, and so it's really difficult to kind of find someone who you think can do something out of nowhere. And I'm sure we're going to touch on some guys, and maybe we'll come up with some that we weren't thinking of just through the conversation. Mm-hmm. But it seems like in years prior, it's been a lot easier to try to, pick and choose some of these guys and try to make a case for them. And with you, I agree. It just seems like everyone's kind of cornered into what they could do, and there's not really a lot of surprises to be had. So maybe we're wrong, and something happens out of nowhere. But I mean, it seems like the rookies that did really well last year. So obviously they're not going to break out again. And then the players that didn't do well last year, Terence Marshall, Diami Brown, a lot of these guys that we thought could be good and maybe will do something. I mean, no one's even talking about them anymore. So is one of these rookies from last year going to just come out and be, amazing? I had a hard time picking one for this show for any of those examples. And so I don't know if you think the same thing on those. I mean, what do you think about the rookies last year who didn't do well? Are there any rookies last year that can come to mind that you think could be really good this year? Because I can't really think of any.
Yeah, that's hard.
Like Trey Sermon, right?
Yeah. I mean,
no.
I think he's more like he'd have to get the opportunity, right? I think at this point he hasn't earned his chance to do it. Like it's almost like he would have to fall into it, like in the sense of injury. Yeah.
I mean, Elijah Moore did really well early on, but it seems like toward the end of the season. But now with Garrett Wilson there, it's like, well, we can't pick this guy.
Yeah. Sorry, my audio keeps skipping out, so I might miss some stuff you said. But I think it's these headphones are getting a little old. But I'm hoping the one guy I didn't even mention him on my list, but I like Terence Marshall Jr. But he was on the field a lot last year, and he really didn't do anything. And that could be partially to quarterback play, of course. But if he and that's not really going to change this year unless for some reason Matt Corral takes over and is electric, or if Baker Mayfield ends up there somehow and he, utilizes him well. But yeah, there's not really any other rookies. Like I feel like all the rookies that we expected to do well last year did well. Like it was a really good rookie class overall. Like Kyle Pitts did well, even though people had their expectations for him were way, 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 way too high. Like he had a 1,000-yard receiving season. He obviously wasn't very good when it came to getting touchdowns, but that's a great number for a rookie tight end at that. Sure. Waddle, Chase. I mean, there's plenty of guys. The running back, Najee. So the big ones did pretty well. So, well, let's jump into quarterback. Go ahead and talk about your first your quarterback that you had.
Okay, so my pick here, and I know we just talked about last year's draft class. But my quarterback pick is Trey Lance. I don't think people last year expected Trey Lance to really have a great season. Maybe they thought he would start more games than he ended up starting. But I'm a Niner fan. By far, the majority of people that live here, the majority of people that report on the team, They do not think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the starter week 1. Now, maybe he's traded to somewhere, like you were saying with Carolina, or maybe he's traded to a different team, or maybe he just loses out in training camp preseason to Trey Lance, and I think that's very possible too. So I just expect Trey Lance. I think it's going to be a little rough to watch, but you don't have to watch the games. He's going to run the ball. He's going to get a lot of points, fantasy points. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games, but I do think Trey Lance is going to be very productive. And if people in your leagues, especially as we get closer to the season, are worried about Trey Lance not even being the starter, I think it presents a really nice buy opportunity where you can say, look, you want to sit on this guy again, another season again, and then when he eventually does start, he may not even do anything. I mean, that's the kind of guy you want to get on your team when the time is right. I think right now is a good time. A lot of people don't think he's going to be the starter, and so I think he could really have a huge fantasy season because I do expect him to start the majority of this season.
Yeah, I like Trey Lance. I think when it comes to fantasy, right, I think that, you might have to refresh my memory. You're a Niners fan. His one game that he got to start last year, it was against the Cardinals, correct?
Yeah.
It wasn't a good game.
That's a
bad matchup for him.
And it wasn't a very good game, yeah.
Yeah, because the Cardinals defense, they got their issues, but they're fast. They're fast, and that definitely hurts Trey Lance. Like he needed to develop, and that's why he sat pretty much the whole year. He needs to develop more as an actual quarterback, but his rushing ability, like it's up there with like Jalen Hurts, right? Like Jalen Hurts might not be the best quarterback like in the NFL to like be on an actual team, but when it comes to fantasy, Jalen Hurts is a top 10 asset so far, like when it comes year to year. So I'm not sure, if you're looking dynasty and long term, your skepticism about Trey Lance is probably warranted, right? Because it's unknown. But if you want somebody that has the potential to immediately be like a top 10 quarterback because of their rushing upside, he is definitely a guy that would not surprise me whatsoever to be doing it. So I agree that Trey Lance, has that ability. And speaking of, dual threat quarterbacks, mine is I chose Daniel Jones. And I think Daniel Jones, an issue with him is coaching, right? I believe he has Brian Dabble there now that everyone's been talking about. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's it, right? Because I think, Dab worked with Trubisky, who wanted to bring him to the Giants, and he apparently is like the quarterback whisperer. Like when he goes somewhere, the quarterback immediately does better. You can lay out all the excuses you want for Daniel Jones, and they're warranted, right? His cast around him has like been healthy, like maybe 3 games through his career. It seems like Saquon's hurt. Kenny Golladay last year was hurt. We saw Kadarius Toney hurt all the time. Like all his receivers were hurt. His offensive line was not very good. It's kind of like that do or die season for him, right? They didn't pick up his 5th year option or his chance to cash in at this point. So if it's either now or never for Daniel Jones, it seems like. So if I'm going to put my, all my eggs in one basket on a quarterback that is really cheap, who's really disappointed year after year, he's got the dual threat ability, he's got the weapons around him. I think Daniel Jones is a great candidate to be, have his best season yet, and definitely has any quarterback that has rushing upside can be a top 10 like player every year, just because of all those points that are caught on the ground. So that's who I picked. What are your thoughts on Daniel Jones?
Yeah, I think it's a good call. I like Daniel Jones, and hopefully he can finally have a team that's healthy around him, and he can really, show what he can do. I do worry though that it won't come together. I don't know if they addressed the O-line as aggressively as they should have in this offseason so far. But you're right. I mean, it's a contract year. If he's going to do good, it's going to be this year. I think that's a fair statement. But I just worry that it may not happen. But I do think that the price is right if you want to take the chance. Same goes for all these other guys we mentioned at the onset of the show here. Trey Sermon, Terrace Marshall, I mean, all these guys that did nothing year one or maybe year 2 or 3, you might as well. I mean, if you have the room on your bench, take the chance. But of everyone that I just said just now, Daniel Jones, I think, does have the best chance to have a big breakout year. So I think that's a really good call on your part.
Yeah, I agree. And some people say, I worry that he sucks. He might, right? I mean, but let's see what he can do with a little bit better O-line, better coaching, hopefully healthy talent around him. I'll give him – this is my last chance for Daniel Jones. So I'll go ahead and jump into our tight end selection. So I feel like this one isn't like necessarily a great selection, but I think that his potential is still sky high, and it's TJ Hawkinson, right? A lot of people might have TJ Hawkinson right around that like 8 through 5 range when it comes to tight end value. And I think that if you watch this guy play, he can be like a top 3 tight end if they feed him enough. I guess you could say that about anybody, but he has the talent to be like in the same tier as some of these top guys. Like his route running, his hands, he has it. He has it all. We just got to get him the ball more. He had some health issues last year, and he had his moments last year. Like he was I can't remember. I don't have the statistics right in front of me, but he had he started off the year really hot. I do remember that. And then he got really cold in the middle. And you're going to see that when it comes to the Lions in general. But I think TJ Hawkinson is still just scratching the surface of what is yet to be of his career. And I see him as a really, really valuable asset that could easily be like a top 3 tight end this upcoming season when it comes to fantasy points. What are your thoughts on TJ Hawkinson?
Yeah, I'm really surprised that TJ Hawkinson is so ranked so low in tight end dynasty rankings. I mean, this guy, he's only 24 years old. Most of the elite tight ends, Kelsey, Kittle, they're all 30, almost 30, or over 30 in Kelsey's case. So yeah, I'm a little bit of an ageist, right? But I mean, I'd rather have TJ Hawkinson than Darren Waller, who's 29, 30 years old next season. So maybe I'm in the minority there, but I think Hawkinson has shown, hey, look, he's gifted, and maybe he won't be very good on the Lions for the next couple of seasons, but he's so young that it doesn't really matter. I mean, you invest in a player with this type of upside, and I agree with you 100%. I think he could have a huge season, and I think he's a great buy right now because, I mean, everywhere you look, he's ranked so low. If you could, I would trade Waller straight up for Hawkinson today in any league, and I think he's in a good spot to have a great season. So I think that's a good call on your part as well.
Yeah, I think I'd make that trade too, unless I was like really, really like I'm content. This is my year to contend. I want to win. I think Waller.
I would do it either way. I mean,
I think Waller has a better season, so that'd be the only
sure.
counter argument.
I know. But it's like I always say, like I want to have my cake and eat it too, and that's an example where maybe I lose a couple points a week, but he could also do better than Waller this year. So go for the upside, and he's going to be better 5 years from now. So that's the way I look at it.
More than likely. All right, who's your tight end?
Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet. So I don't know how old Cole Kmet is. He has to be pretty young, though.
It's his 3rd year, so he's got to be young.
Let me see. 23.
Yeah, it's his 3rd year.
Yeah, and Justin Fields didn't have a great season last year. Maybe he's a breakout candidate. That's something to see. We're thinking here.
I think you could say literally all of the rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah,
all of them from last year.
Except I think maybe Mac Jones probably like capped out at maybe. What he can do.
Maybe. I don't know.
Where's your Mac Jones?
I think Mac Jones has the.
Where's your Mac Jones? Is that Mac Jones behind you? That little guy? The little pop? Is that a Mac Jones pop?
One more. Hold on one second. This is. Let me reset my headset. You go ahead. You can talk about Cole Kmet. Let me get my audio.
All right.
Up here real quick.
So Cole Kmet, I just think that Justin Fields is going to have a better season. Allen Robinson isn't with the Bears anymore, so I think there's going to be more opportunity for Cole Kmet to do well. I think I mean, look at the value, right? People have him ranked outside the top 12, outside the top 15 in some cases. Yeah, I know he hasn't been as good as people expected, but I do think that he's going to have a very good season given the situation with his quarterback improving and more targets potentially available with only Mooney there, really as a factor in the passing game.
Yeah, I like Cole Kmet. When Justin Fields was at Ohio State, he did utilize the tight ends, especially in the red zone. So, yeah, I think he could be a breakout candidate. I think his ceiling, though, is still probably like just, barely reaching into the top 10 when it comes to tight ends. And as we know, like outside of maybe like the top 5 or 6, it kind of like, the field is kind of all somewhat close, but he could be at the top of that close.
So would you say like Cole Kmet's upside is kind of like Dawson Knox, but without as many touchdowns? Like that? Like yeah, good?
That's probably pretty accurate. Yeah, I would say that's pretty good. So yeah, it's a breakout. I mean, that's a solid guy you feel a little bit more comfortable with in that spot. I didn't really get to hear a ton of what you were saying, but there's not much competition for touches.
There's not much competition for touches, and I'd rather have Cole Kmet over Dawson Knox myself. I just think Dawson Knox is just benefiting from Josh Allen.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I don't know how sustainable that is, and I see a player that doesn't have a lot of physical upside. I think Cole Kmet's more athletic than Dawson Knox, so I worry about just putting Dawson Knox as an elite, maybe not elite, but a better than average type player just because of his situation. And in Dynasty, that's really risky,
right?
Because so much can change so quickly. Just ask Noah Fant.
And they brought OJ Howard there. I know he's been pretty disappointing in Tampa, but it's not like he's gotten really the opportunity to like really do well. Because when he got Tom Brady there, they brought Gronk. So it's like OJ Howard kind of got put to the side, but he's an athletic freak. Like if you put him out there and then Josh Allen's like doing Josh Allen stuff and extending plays and OJ Howard is also an athlete helping extend those plays and making plays off of his plays. He could be the guy that, it wouldn't surprise me if Dawson Knox wasn't the best tight end on that team by the time the season ended. He wasn't the starter. I'm just throwing it out there. It's not really bold because I'm not really getting excited about him. I think his owners are probably pretty excited about last year, but I think you're right. It's more because of the quarterback play rather than the player.
Yeah, so. And it kind of like Austin Hooper comes to mind. Like it's real quick can situations change in the NFL. Yeah, and if you're not really banking on the skill of the player, you're just banking on the situation. That's really risky. So yeah.
Mac Jones is a breakout candidate. I didn't really get to hear what you said.
Well, I was asking if that was like a little Mac Jones figurine behind you. Is that like a little Mac Jones?
That's Gronk.
Gronk. Okay.
An autographed Gronk rookie card.
Okay.
I know I need a Mac Jones. I want him saving up for a little sign. I want a signed helmet from him. I don't know if they make the little pop stalls of them yet. I'm not sure.
I don't know. You might have to check after the stream.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look. Darn. Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into running backs. I started the tight ends, so you go ahead. Or I'm sorry, wide receivers. Let's go ahead and jump into your first wide receiver you have for a breakout.
All right. Go to the list. I was Googling Mac Jones pops.
Yeah, they probably.
And I think you can pre-order one.
Oh, cool.
Let me see. This is important. Tua, Tom Brady. I don't see Mac Jones. All right, sorry. Maybe not. Maybe next year.
Yeah. Wow. That's kind of
all right. So we're gonna move to wide receivers, right? Wide receivers.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And we picked 2 wide receivers each, right? So
yeah.
The first one, it's kind of obvious, because Marquise Hollywood Brown's no longer with the Ravens. So I wanted to go with Rashad Bateman. I think, he hasn't. I mean, he was hindered by injury. This is a guy, I guess, one of the guys we were kind of talking about, like, hey, didn't really do what we thought they would do, but he was injured. So I don't know if it really counted. I also think Devin Duvernay could be in a really nice spot. I don't think he's going to have a huge breakout season, but I do think he's noteworthy enough where he could be on your league's waiver wires, depending on how deep your leagues are. He could be very easily obtainable on your team if you're looking for, like a nice bench player where you might need to start in an injury pinch or something. I think Devin Duvernay can have a really good season. But yeah, Rashad Bateman, I think, is just going to have an incredible year. Even if they bring in someone like Odell Beckham or someone that we're not really forecasting at this point, I still think he's going to have a huge season. So I think the talent's there. I think he needed that season to be, fully healthy. Now he's good to go. He's going to have all off season to work with Lamar. I really expect good things. I don't think the Ravens would have traded away Hollywood Brown if they didn't have faith in Rashad Bateman. And so for me, Bateman is the player, but I'll also give a tip to the cap to Devin Duvernay, who I think could also have a nice season as well. Bryce, any thoughts on Bateman or Duvernay?
Yeah, the only thing I disagree with is Duvernay. I don't think he's really noteworthy personally, but Bateman's a slam dunk in my opinion. And I think for the rest of our picks, they're kind of like, easy ones to an extent to predict. But Rashad Bateman is a guy that once he came off of injury, and once he came in the middle of the season and started playing and had a presence immediately, it was a guy I regretted I didn't get in the last year's draft, because he's fallen in the second in like a lot of these rookie drafts last year. I agree with you nailed it when you said when they traded Marquise, they must feel comfortable with Bateman and Mark Andrews moving forward. The Ravens are a team that could probably run on just Lamar, 2 receiving threats, and then their run game. Like they're going to run 40 times a game, like whether with Lamar and the running backs. And it'll be like 15 rushes Lamar, 20 rushes Dobbins, 5 rushes whoever, or 10 rushes whoever. So Rashad Bateman is just set up to get all the targets that Mark Andrews doesn't get. So yeah, he's an easy one. I think that he is being overlooked a lot in drafts, and trades and things like that. So, send an early second for Rashad Bateman. I would take that immediately. Bateman side, of course, in those situations, I think this guy is a stud. He is the one rookie like that from last year. I didn't want to mention it because I saw him on your list. Yeah, he's the one rookie from last year that I do think has a breakout season that really didn't do much his first year, and I think that's from not getting the full off-season workouts and things like that, and getting into the groove of things. He got into the groove of things when the season was ending. So. Right. Yeah,
now, you slighted my man, Devin Duvernay. Now, wait a second. Devin Duvernay posted one of the fastest 40 times at the combine at the time he did it. It was like 4.3 something. And, he's gonna stretch the field. So I do think he's going to be on the field. I do think he's going to be an integral part of their offense. And I think you need to just keep an eye on
John Ross also ran a really fast 40 time.
Just keep an eye on Devin Duvernay.
He might be on the field, but his ceiling is like 2 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown probably.
Every week I'll take that.
He's not getting that every week. His ceiling every week. That's like his good games. Like he's like a late career Deshaun Jackson. I just don't personally. I have an autographed Devin Duvernay card somewhere in that other room. So I'd love it if he was sweet, but it's just not gonna happen in my opinion.
I might need to buy that off you.
Bateman, yeah, pennies on the dollar. Okay, I'll go over my first one. I think this is probably the easiest one. He's on the cover photo, of course, or the thumbnail. Jerry Judy, right? When we were just talking about him before the show, obviously he had some recent legal troubles, and what it looks like is like a little domestic dispute that got blown out of proportion. I don't think we're going to see anything come of this, honestly. Long story short, it looked like that he held some of her possessions from her, which got him in trouble. And then she later tried to say, like, it's not a big deal, let's let it go. But it already got past he already got arrested at that point. Like, it was too late to just undo everything. So, but I think with that being said, like, we're not going to see anything. I think this is going to eventually blow over. We're going to forget about it week 1 of this upcoming year. He's got Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, I believe, made a comment, you need to draft Jerry Judy. I think he said that, if I'm not mistaken. Look it up, Leonie. I'm pretty sure people are Russell Wilson said you need to draft Jerry Judy in your fantasy leagues this year. So, yes, sir. I'll do that right away. I think Jerry Judy is a huge, huge asset to have in fantasy. He had abysmal quarterback play his first 2 years, along with some little injuries. He's got all the talent to be a top tier wide receiver in the league, and now he's got a top tier quarterback to do it.
Here's the quote. Here's the quote from Russell Wilson. You ready?
Yep.
You need to draft Devin Duvernay.
No,
you believe that?
That's insane, huh? He's talking about another, but he did say Jerry Judy, correct?
No, he really hyped up. He really hyped. I didn't get the exact quote, but he really did hype him up. Yeah.
But you can't always listen to players when they do that, because Keenan Allen, I remember this, and because I did it. He looked into the camera like week 15 or 16 and said, "You need to start me in fantasy," and put up like 2 points.
Yeah, I remember.
Don't always listen to it, but this is a whole season.
Yeah.
So definitely Jerry Judy. Jerry Judy's an easy one. I doubt many people disagree with it. If they do, they probably think it's the Cortland Sutton show. Maybe Brad Menendez thinks that he loves Cortland Sutton. I think Cortland Sutton is not. He's good, but he's not great. He's not Jerry Judy level. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you completely. One of my points of contention with Sutton last year was, even when Jerry Judy wasn't playing, Sutton he was good.
Yeah.
But he never like lit up the stat line. He never did anything phenomenal, and he had every opportunity to do it last year without anyone else really getting the ball, and he just couldn't do it. And
yeah, Tim Patrick would steal the show.
It was a huge, for me, it was like, come on, man, like Sutton, this is what you're supposed to do, and you're not doing it. Right. So are we to expect him to do it now once, Judy's healthy, and, I don't know. So of the 2 wide receivers, yes, I prefer Judy. And I know that is a question among some people in fantasy too, especially with this new news coming out that, he may be arrested, sent him to prison. He could be suspended. I agree with you. I don't think it's a big issue. I don't expect him to miss more than a few games this year in relation to that. Maybe he gets suspended 2 for 6, but I doubt it. I think 2 is more likely. Maybe 4 with an appeal to 2, something like that.
I think 0 is the most likely. 2 is the second most.
Yeah, and I don't. If you really try to find out, exactly what happened, it was like, I've done worse things than that. I'll be honest.
Yeah, come on. Yeah,
he hit her keys or hit some baby. It was just a stupid argument. Come on. So,
baby formula. You got to make sure you finish that. You said baby.
Oh yeah, no, not the baby. Yeah, no, they didn't put the baby in the car. Just the formula. It's just some stupid.
Yeah. Seemed like a stupid.
It was just stupid. It got blown way out of proportion. Because the police department arrested him, but then didn't say why. Mm-hmm. So everyone's jumping to conclusions. Mm-hmm. So I'm not worried about Judy at all in that sense. I think he can have a huge season with Russell Wilson. Now I do like the Tim Patricks on the team too. Like Devin Duvernay in that sense, but yeah, Jerry Judy is the Rashad Bateman. He is going to have a huge season, and I think that's a really good call on your part.
Yeah, it is the no-brainer. I think the biggest no-brainer of the offseason of somebody who's supposed to really exceed expectations. And I'll jump into this next guy.
And real quick, I would sell Cortland Sutton right now. I think it's a good opportunity to sell him, really, because we're in agreement. It's just he never got to that next level when he could have. And he may have a better season now with Russell Wilson, but I think people are valuing him way too high.
Yeah, it's probably the people that hold on to him at this point. Let's try and cash in. I'm not sure what I would buy him for or sell him for. I think you could sell him. I think you could sell him for a late first. You think so?
Oh yeah.
I think it'd be difficult. I think you'd have to get someone that really likes him for that, but you might. So, we'll jump into this next guy, Gabriel Davis. Last year in fantasy, kind of disappointed, right? He didn't do much in the playoffs. Like into the season, I think week 17 he had a decent game, and then into the playoffs or week 18 or something, he had a lot of targets. But into the playoffs, he was phenomenal. I mean, he put up the big 4 touchdown game against the Chiefs. He was a force to be reckoned with. The Bills have now moved on from Cole Beasley. He is no longer on the field anymore. Staphon Dix is obviously Staphon Dix. He's going to draw all attention when it comes to the pass game. Somebody has got to step up in that number 2 spot for the Bills to consistently be very good. Like when you watch the Bills last year when they didn't do very well in games, it was because Staphon Diggs got shut down and nobody stepped up in that number 2 spot. And now Gabe Davis is supposed to do that. So he is being handed the opportunity to do what needs to be done. He just has to seize it. And we see that he can do that with the performances that he put in the most important time of the year when it came to probably the best playoff game of all time that with the Bills and Chiefs. Literally got rules changed in the offseason for playoffs. Gabe Davis was the star of that game. I'm predicting that he takes that momentum and continues it on and has a very, very solid. I think this will be his third year as a receiver, kind of a breakout year this is the traditional like breakout year for receivers, right? It's like their third. Like that's what we're used to seeing. History tells us their third year in the league is that they're putting it all together. It's time for him to do that. And I think he seizes the opportunity. Leonie, where do you see Gabe Davis finishing out this year?
Yeah, I think it's a good call. I think he'll have a good season. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jameson Crowder, who recently joined the team, has a better fantasy season, PPR-wise. I know you said they lost Cole Beasley. They kind of replaced him in Jameson Crowder in a way.
That's true.
So, that's the only concern I have. I still think Gabe Davis is a great buy. I think he's going to have a huge season. I think a really sneaky buy is Jameson Crowder. I think you could get him for really cheap, and I think he could have a good season too. Oh yeah, and I think that would easily pay off. But obviously Crowder, that's a different show. I mean, Crowder's not going to have some breakout season, and I think
he's always been pretty good when he's on.
He's always been very consistent. That's right.
Yeah.
So I agree with you 100%. I think Gabe Davis is in a great spot, and I think he should have a breakout season. I think that's a good call.
He should.
I think that Crowder is a really sneaky kind of buy who could have a really good season and might kind of hit into the Gabe Davis a little bit.
That's fair. I kind of almost forgot about him, but I do like Jameson Crowder. He could be a touchdown vulture now that I really think about it.
Yeah.
So go ahead and jump into your second guy. I do like this one too. I kind of almost debated putting him instead of Gabe Davis when I was creating this list.
Yeah, Michael Gallup. So this is a guy who, when he came into the league, didn't do much his rookie year, but I think he had a really good second season. I think he got over 1,000 yards, and since then he hasn't really done too much. He's kind of been overshadowed by CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. Well, now that
injuries,
he a lot of leg injuries, and now that Amari Cooper is no longer with the Cowboys, I expect Gallup to kind of come back into form. I think I think the Cowboys are going to have a really good offense. And so I expect Gallup to kind of just come right back in there. He knows how to do it. He's done it before. I think he's going to be a really good player. He can stretch the field. He can run really good routes. I mean, obviously not as good as CeeDee Lamb, but I mean, I do think Gallup is kind of overshadowed by CeeDee Lamb to the point where it would not surprise me if Gallup has a better season than CeeDee Lamb. Like, it would not surprise me. Do I think it will happen? No. But I would not be shocked, and I expect both CeeDee Lamb and Gallup to be top 20 wide receivers. I think they're both going to have a very good season.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he had a better season than CeeDee Lamb, but It's definitely possible. Michael Gallup is a different receiver than CeeDee Lamb. I think is good to note. Like CeeDee Lamb is a guy like he isn't going up for 50-50 balls a lot. Like he is a guy that catches it, and then after the catch, he is arguably the most electric. Yes,
yeah,
by far. He and Deebo Samuel to me are like the top two guys. Like once they get the ball in their hands, like it can go to the house even if there's 9 guys in front of them. It wouldn't surprise me. Michael Gallup is a guy that can go up and get it, though. Like,
sure.
I feel like a 50-50 ball for him is a 75-25 in his favor. Like, he is that guy. Like, he is fun to watch when he is on the field. With Amari Cooper gone, I can see him getting a lot of deeper balls thrown to him, and he's not going to see the best corners, and maybe not double coverage because CeeDee Lamb does deserve that at this point, right? From what he's done. So I do like Michael Gallup a lot when it comes to this upcoming season. I do think he's a good buy, but I think the people that have him also know that he's a good buy. Yeah. So it's probably tough to get him because they probably either drafted him or got him for really cheap previously. And at this point, they're gonna try and reap the rewards of when they bought him cheap. So,
just go get Crowder instead.
Yeah, and Dak throws for Dak throws for a lot of yards, and they got to go to somebody. And there's only really James Washington's there, and I think Tolbert just got drafted as well. Who knows who that third guy is? They could step up.
It'll be Schultz. I mean, it'll be tight end.
Yeah. True. Schultz. But they do run a lot of 3 receiver sets, so I'm sure there'll be a third guy out there that at least has the opportunity. But Michael Gallup stays healthy. I think he's above 1,000-yard receiver. I also think he's more of a top 25 receiver, and CeeDee Lamb's like a top 8. So
I'm with
this upcoming season. I love that selection, Lanny. Go ahead and jump into. We'll go quickly on these running backs. So go ahead and jump into. Go ahead and talk about both of your running backs that you chose.
Sure. I guess I'll start with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's coming in now I think this is his 3rd season now. First couple of seasons haven't gone so well. But I do expect Clyde Edwards-Helaire to, kind of get more involved. And they lost Tyreek Hill. I expect Clyde Edwards-Helaire to get more receptions, especially in PPR leagues. I think we're going to see him get the ball more. He's a really dynamic player. I do expect him to have a really good season, and I think you can get him at a reasonable price now. Before last couple of seasons, he was really expensive to acquire because people thought he was going to be the next big thing. I think people have come to the determination, hey, this guy's not going to be elite, but I think that he is in a really good spot where he can put up really good weeks on a consistent basis, and so I think CEH is now at a really good buy opportunity. And I do think he can pay some dividends on teams that need help at running back. The second guy that I think could have a really good breakout season is A.J. Dillon for very similar reasons. That's because Devontae Adams is no longer with the Packers. We're going to have, A.J. Dillon is very capable out of the backfield as well. He's a good in-between the tackles runner. Aaron Jones isn't getting any younger. And so even if there is an injury ahead of him, he'll be a breakout just by default. But beyond that, even if Aaron Jones does stay healthy, I do believe that A.J. Dillon is kind of like Tony Pollard in a sense where, he can have huge games and win you weeks, even though he's just in your flex. And so I think that there's just so much potential for A.J. Dillon. I think he is set up to have a great season. So those are my 2 guys. Do you have any thoughts on A.J. Dillon, CEH? What you think about those guys?
Yeah, I like one. I don't like the other. I like CEH. I like him as a breakout candidate. I think he would have had a much better season last year if the injury didn't hit him. I was pulling up his numbers. Week 1 against the Browns, he had 10 points. That's a good defense. Week 2 against the Ravens, another good defense, 4 points. But then he kind of gets going. He got 19 points against the Chargers, and then 19.5 points against the Eagles, and then boom, injury hits him. And then once he comes back, 4 out of the 5 games, he put up over 10 points. Like he and his touchdown upside is that of the highest of any other running back in the league, right? He's on the Chiefs. Like any running back that's playing for the Chiefs, the Bills, Bengals now, Chargers, they're Packers, their touchdown upside is pretty much at the top, right? I guess not Packers anymore. But their touchdown ups. They're still there. It's Aaron Rodgers. He'll find a way. I don't think that, but I think that Edwards-Helaire, the people that drafted him are going to finally see that it's not they're if they drafted him 101 overall, they're seeing it's at least looking not so bad anymore. They should take Jonathan Taylor, of course, but I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire has the opportunity to finish as a top 7 back this year if he stays healthy. So I like that pick. AJ Dillon. The only reason I don't like it is I like the player. I think he is by far super like really, really talented. If Aaron Jones wasn't there, I would have him as a top 10 back in fantasy. But Aaron Jones is there. Aaron Jones is a better pass catcher. Aaron Rodgers likes Aaron Jones more. That's the only reason I put AJ Dillon down. I think he still sees a lot of opportunity, and he is going to have a good year. But it's going to be better than the year he had, but I don't think it's going to be substantial. Now, if Aaron Jones isn't there next year, AJ Dillon is definitely a breakout candidate. If Aaron Jones is hurt, AJ Dillon immediately becomes a top 10 fantasy running back in my opinion. So
you don't think that AJ Dillon this season could have a season like Tony Pollard did last year? I mean, that's kind of
was Tony Pollard even was he a top 15 fantasy back?
No,
like I wouldn't have felt comfortable in Tony Pollard in my flex last year, week in and week out. Like it was super inconsistent.
Yeah.
Like if I want a breakout player, like I want someone that's at least like somewhat like got a decent floor, and then their ceiling is really pretty much better than it obviously has been through their career. I think AJ Dillon's floor every week is 5. Like. I don't know how involved he'll be I don't think he'll be very involved in the pass game is the only issue I have. And I think you're right. He is capable, but there's somebody that's just better at it. Like Antonio Gibson's in the same situation where it's like he is more than capable of being a very good back out of the backfield, but there's just someone there that's better at it. So that's
I think you convinced me on Dillon.
Yeah.
I think
I like him. I do. I really like him, but I just it's like I like the player better than the situation.
I understand. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. All right, I'll go into my two running backs, and then we'll hit up some of the questions that we have in the chat. My two are pretty easy ones. I think these are the no-brainers. Both these guys were somewhat season-ending injuries last year. Cam Akers came back, but J.K. Dobbins and Cam Akers, the Rams, another team, right? Cam Akers is on high touchdown upside every week. Now, look at it this way. Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel were very productive when they were on the Rams offense. Cam Akers is much better. Like, he's just much better than both of those guys. So he's going to do what they did and more. So he immediately becomes a top 10 asset for me. Like, there's not much else to say. We watched how hard he ran. That is a problem as well, right? When you see running backs that run really hard, like he runs hard. Like there's a difference between there's guys that are shifty, they run, they kind of like somewhat avoid getting hit and get yards, go down, right? Where Zeke early career ran hard, like he finished runs. Cam Akers literally finished a run and like did a celebration over a dude, didn't realize how bad he hurt him, but did a celebration over a dude. Like the guy runs hard. That leads to injuries a lot of times. But he's young, he's off his injury. I think he's a stud. I think he has this is a guy that I think has a top 5 fantasy year, in my opinion. J.K. Dobbins, again, a super, super efficient running back. Obviously, he's on a team that also has the best quarterback of all time to run the ball so far. But that team runs through the run game. So J.K. Dobbins, I still think could see 20 touches, a couple of catches a game. That's a lot of volume. I think he capitalizes on it. He's super efficient. He was efficient his rookie year with less touches because of Mark Ingram was in front of him. He didn't get his opportunity last year. No one sees that opportunity because the only guy that had the opportunity to be good also got hurt with Gus Edwards. J.K. Dobbins, I think, is a slam dunk for a breakout year. I think both of Cam Akers and J.K. Dobbins, I think you might agree, if they finish top 5 in fantasy running backs if healthy, it wouldn't surprise us. What do you think?
I agree 100% with everything you just said. What if I replace AJ Dillon with Travis Etienne? Can I do that? Like a after the stream audible, like right now? What do you think about Travis Etienne? Missed his entire rookie season. He's going to have a huge breakout year. What do you think?
Do you think Etienne, like, you just think they abandoned James Robinson? This is a question. Do you think they just, like, James Robinson just is gone? Like, what do you think that looks like when it comes to, like, James Robinson's earned his part in that offense?
Yeah, I think it's a timeshare. I just really don't like my AJ Dillon pick, so I'm trying to pick someone else now.
You're switching it up. Let me think of what about Devin Singletary? Do you think No, you don't like him? You think Cook comes in and takes over?
No, I think it's gonna be a huge timeshare mess.
You think so too? Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was a question that touched on that. So after our stream, we can go back and talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can switch it. You can switch it, I guess. I mean, why not? You just pick Jonathan Taylor.
I'm just glad we didn't put AJ Dillon on the thumbnail photo.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Okay, yeah, we'll answer the questions here in a second, but we cut this short for individuals listening to this in a podcast form because they can't see the questions here. So thank you, everybody, for listening. If you haven't, go follow us on Facebook. Join our Discord, Roto Heat Dynasty Fantasy Football. You'll find us on there. We're all active. We put trades, talks. It's a fun environment. There's easy rules. Rule number 1: don't be a dick. It's easy to follow.
Memes,
it's pretty much the main
funny jokes.
Yeah. So give us a follow. Thanks, and you know what, everyone. Thanks for listening. Have a good rest of your night, and we will see you next week. Thanks. All right, now let's get some of these questions. So we have quite a few, or not a ton, but a couple. So the first guy, Anthony, if you're still here, put some in the chat for us. But he asked this pretty early, 11 minutes into the stream. He traded D-Hop for the 109 and selected George Pickens. Did I panic sell, or did I get decent value? I'm curious to know if this is a 1 QB or 2 QB, because it definitely could be both, but it doesn't really matter.
Not a huge difference either way. For me, it's Hopkins.
Yeah.
I know Hopkins is getting up there. I just don't think Pickens is.
He's risky. I think he's risky.
Yeah, it's too risky. I think if you want to trade Hopkins, you could get more than just 109.
Well, it's too late for Anthony.
So, Anthony, I hope Pickens lights the world on fire. But I think that you did not get good enough value for me to feel comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But maybe Pickens has a really good season and Pickett, looks phenomenal like Mac Jones. And things work out. But I don't know. I don't really love it. But I
almost would have tried to get like a second and then a 2023 first. I think I would have liked that a lot better.
A 23 first and a second? Yeah.
Yeah, like a second this year maybe, and then like an early second if you could have, and then maybe a 2023 first would have been ideal for me. I think that class is much better, especially when it comes. That kind of depends, because I think next year's class is not nearly as strong at wide receiver as this one. For now,
Yeah, but even still, like in the first round, you're going to get a first round pick, so all you need is
There's a lot of running backs, so yeah. I probably would have done that. I don't think the value's horrible. You could have done much worse, but I think you could have done definitely done a little bit better. It's not terrible. George Pickens has got all the talent in the world to be a top level guy. Like, he is physical, he's big, he's got a little bit of an attitude problem for sure. He likes to get in fights. I know that.
I saw his draft video. It was like he was like mugging the TV. Did you see that? It was kind of weird too.
He's definitely he's definitely a character. But Mike Tomlin had Antonio Brown for years.
That's true.
Guys, I don't know how he did it. So
great point.
Yeah, great point. He landed in the best spot. I will say that George Pickens landed in the best spot for him as a player. I thought this was a good question. I was reading this while we were going. Are we getting to the point where we need to play 1 or 0 running backs as the workhorse RBs seem to be fading or aging? I've never played in a 0 running back league. I don't know how I'd feel about it. But the workhorse back is fading, and we talked about this for I feel like a couple of years. But unless you're getting like these really really great runners and back out of the backfields,
Well, my answer to this is you have to just draft better. You have to keep in mind, hey, look, there's only X amount of top tier running backs, and you got to get one. People talked about, I remember a couple of years ago, people kind of did this with tight ends. Hey, there's only 3 really good tight ends. You got to get one because then they won't be able to compete with that spot.
That's true.
This is what's happening with the running back position. So you just have to change your draft. Understand, look, wide receivers are deep. I mean, look how easy it was for us to list off all these wide receivers who can have a really good year. And then when we get to running backs, we're like, well, obviously these 2 guys and then no one else. It's happening. It even happened in our own stream. So what does that mean? Well, get your really good running back or 2 and then build with those breakout players that fall in the draft. So that's my solution. I don't think we need to necessarily change the format. We just have to change our strategy and how we build our teams.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good answer. All right, James. I know he's still in here. He has a couple questions in here. Thanks for tuning in, James. We like it when people ask questions. It makes it more fun. I have 4 first-rounders next year, along with Lance, Kyler, J.K., Damian Harris, Judy, St. Brown, Devontae, DJ Moore, Goddard as my starters. Who should I target? I'm assuming he's talking about this upcoming draft. Probably hadn't had it yet.
Makes sense.
I'm assuming. Yeah, because I don't see any.
There's no rookies on his team either.
Yeah. With J.K. and Damian Harris, if you have 4 first-rounders, if any of them are in the top 3, I would definitely be trying to get Bryce or Kenneth. Definitely.
Yeah, you get another running back. Try to get another running back, for sure.
One of those 2 would be ideal.
I agree.
Would be ideal. And it wouldn't be that bad if you couldn't and you take Spiller and Zamir White later because this team right here might need another year to develop anyway, and those guys could be getting in their starting roles by that time as well. So I would just take best available. There's so many wide receivers and running backs at this point. I would try and focus the running backs and then just take, however you have those wide receivers ranked. I have the top. I personally have 5 of them somewhat close to each other. I would just draft them in the order that they're available.
No, I agree with you.
That? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. I like London, then Olave, then Burks, then Garrett Wilson, then Jameson Williams.
And James, if you are talking about 23, 2023,
let me see.
I highly recommend getting a hold of the Devi guys.
2023 first, he said.
Oh, you don't have any 23 first? Is that what you meant?
Yeah. So maybe that's another thing.
But the Devi guys would really know, hey, who you should get. I don't watch college football. Anyone who watches our streams a lot knows that. I don't even know. I don't know what Drake London, was he on USC or Ohio State? I have no idea.
USC.
Yeah, I don't know who played for Alabama last year. That Robinson guy, did he play for Alabama or was he on Arkansas? The running back, Brian Robinson.
He was Alabama.
I just know he had a red jersey on, so that's all I know.
Williams is also Alabama.
Yeah, so he's saying he has 423 first. So yeah, so James, so
wait.
Yeah, so I don't know the next class like that. All I know is from my friends like Bryce. Hey, it's really good. There's going to be a lot of good running backs, and there's going to be some good wide receivers and a lot of good quarterbacks. So I think there's a Devi show right on our stream. We have a Devi show, yes.
Yes,
I believe so. Either way, in Discord, Brad Menendez is the guy you got to talk to. This guy,
Craig
follows.
Is too.
Yeah, Craig too. These guys follow, college players when they're still in high school. They know who everyone is, and so I think asking someone who has a better, I know maybe Bryce, you know more about the 23 class than I do.
I know a couple of names, and the only guys I'll throw out there, obviously, is Bryce Love, CJ Stroud. I think those guys both, I am somewhat of an Ohio State fan. I'm not like super passionate, but I just like to watch them because I live here in Ohio and I graduated from there. CJ Stroud is not an exciting player to watch, but he looks like an NFL quarterback. Like, he has pocket presence. He doesn't look to scramble when pressure comes in. He stands in the pocket. He throws the ball well. Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to come out as he is going to be a monster in college football this year. I very wholeheartedly think that he is going to be coming into this next season as the number one wide receiver. Probably the number one non-quarterback taken in this upcoming season, unless some other stuff happens. I know there's a running back, Bijan Robinson from Texas, is also very good. So there's just some guys to look at. But again, like Anthony Leone was saying, go, check out our Discord. And you know what? I'll drop the link in the Discord.
Drop it.
Because you can go in there and go into Dynasty chat, or the Dynasty chat, or there's a Debbie chat as well. And you can ask questions of things like that. So let me see here. I can't remember how to do this exactly. I think I can just do it like this if I remember.
You right click and press copy.
Yeah. Well, I have a Mac.
Oh, never mind.
Okay, it's Control C and then Control or
V.
Yeah, Control V. I think that's the right Discord link. Go check it out. Those are some guys to keep in mind. Having those 4 2023 first will make college football fun to watch. That's for sure. Jacob Miller, if you're still in here. Thoughts on Darnell Mooney? I like Darnell Mooney a lot personally. I think he was a guy I considered putting on here. There's so many wide receivers, like you mentioned, that we can put on here for breakout candidates. He's definitely one that can be put on here. He's got the burners. Justin Fields has the arm. If they can start clicking and that offense can get somewhat running to be halfway decent, Darnell Mooney can see himself being a top wide receiver this upcoming season. Like, maybe not top, but at top 15, I should say.
Yeah, no, I agree.
James agreed.
I like Mooney.
He said ultimately is a wide receiver too. I think that's true with wide receiver one upside. For sure. Thank you, James. Did a couple of trades. 102 for Lance. Oh, okay. So that's how he didn't end up with any first this upcoming year. Wow. He traded the 102 for Lance and a 23 first. Wow. That's super good value for that dude.
Well, it's super flex, right?
201. I would guess.
I mean, I hope it's super flex.
It's super flex, right, James? If you could put that in there. The 201 and the 202 for another 23 first. Juju for a 2023 first. That could go either way.
No, I think that's good value.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Wow. James, before you say, is it a super flex? He said sweet, appreciate it a minute ago, so hopefully he's still watching.
Maybe he's already on the Discord.
Yeah, he probably joined it already. Let me look. I can't even see. Man, I got one league that's just trades are happening all over the place.
Yeah, it's probably super flex. I mean, why would you be trading for Trey Lance? Like, that's so random.
Well, I mean, maybe he just wanted the first next year, and Lance is just a throw in. No, it's not. Okay. Oh, he's thinking about trading Kyler though. He said it's not super flex. Okay, so that makes more sense, I guess. The 102.
I mean, from a value point, yeah.
Yeah. I'm about to say, if it was super flex, you absolutely robbed that dude.
But I don't think I would have done that. I mean, it's cool you got the.
I probably took a running back.
I would have just taken a running back. Yeah, I mean,
but it could pay off if you're not. Some people aren't sold on Hall or Kenneth Walker. I'm kind of like on both of them myself. So if you're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna cash in, go for this 2024 class. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I think you're kind of putting all the eggs like my team could compete. If not, I'm not too worried about it. It's not a bad. It's not a bad thing. And,
yeah.
He had the 101 and took Brees. What the heck? Dude has all the picks. Holy crap. Okay, then yeah, I still like it then. I probably would have took Kenneth Walker and then had both of them, but it's not bad. I think there's some better there's definitely some better running backs in this upcoming class. So if either of those first you have are top 3,
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it. But I do like Trey
running
Lance.
backs this upcoming year are significantly better, I think, than the ones that just dropped.
So you have the ammunition. I mean, and don't feel like you need to make a move now because we may know, hey, this running back is going to be the 101. And if you have 4 firsts, you can easily get there. So I would just kind of just see what happens. I wouldn't be too quick to make a move.
Yeah. Not bad. Not bad. I like it. You got Brees. You got 4 firsts next year, which is supposed to have much better talent when it comes to running back. Still have some decent wide receivers. You might be able to get the one. You might have 2 in the top 4, and you get 2 top talents. So
yeah, it'd be killer.
Yeah, it definitely
could work.
I don't hate it because I'm not sold on Kenneth Walker. I really am. I'm not. I really don't like the situation he's in either. Yeah. So that's it. All right, James. Thanks for asking questions. It makes our last 15 minutes way more fun when we have people in here chatting with us. And anyone else watching, thank you so much for hanging out with us, watching, asking questions and things like that. I'm ready to head out of here. Leonie, do you have any last words before we see these folks next week?
No, I'm going to be spending my day at work tomorrow looking for a Mac Jones pop for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Otherwise, that's all. I appreciate your time tonight, and I think it was a good show. And again, if anyone has any additional questions, hit us up on Discord and see us in the Facebook group, and you guys can tag us anytime, and we're happy to help out.
All righty. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
Good night.